Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Cynthia. In today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to sew a princess dart. Okay, I already have a video on how to cut a princess dart. So today's tutorial is going to be how to sew a princess dart. Like what I am wearing here. This is a princess dart. You can see how it is. So I'm going to show you how to sew a princess dart. I've already drafted this pattern. I've padded it, and then I will be briefing and showing you how I arrived at it. All right, so if today is the first time of coming to this channel, please don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you always get notified whenever we upload our video. If you're a returning subscriber, I want to say thank you very much for always tuning in, for always coming back to watch our video. So let's go right away to the cutting table. I'll see you there. Okay, so from my shoulder to my armhole is 9 inches, to my bust point 10 inches, and to my underbust is 16. To my hip line, I'll be using 24 inches, and then I'll be adding extra 2 inches to it. And then I forgot to mention my waist. From my underbust, I'll go 3 inches below to get my waistline. Okay, from my underbust, which is 16, so I'll be getting my waistline, which is around 18. Okay, so I'll be making the lines look very visible, and I'll also go ahead to label my work. I'll label my armhole, my bust point, my underbust, and so far. Okay, so if you don't understand what I'm doing here, I'll be putting the link below on how to cut a princess Dart Bustier. You can just go and watch it there. I explain even more better. Okay, there I was trying to actually write armhole. I mistakenly wrote bust point. So please discard that. That was armhole, and the next was and all that. So I've drawn my shoulder. I'm working with shoulder of 15.5. So I took half of my shoulder, and then I'll separate that 13 points line. And so I had to separate it. So from my shoulder to my armhole is 9 inches there. So see, I have my bust point, I have my underbust UB, I have my waistline. After my underbust, I have my waistline, then I have my hip, and then I have my blouse length with extra 1 inch for my allowance. So the next we are going to be getting now is our nipple to nipple. I'll be working with bust of 47, so I'll be using nipple to nipple of 5 inches. If you're wondering how I got that 5, just watch that my video on how to cut a princess Dart Bustier. There I explain how you can get your nipple to nipple measure your nipple to nipple measurement. Okay, so I'm going to take the line up to meet my bust points. Okay, so we take it that way. So once we get to our bust points, I'm going to come to my underbust, sorry, my waistline outwardly. I'll take 2 inches, and then inside I'll be taking 0.75. Okay, it will depend on the bust you're working with. Okay, so I took 2 inches from outwardly, and 0.75 inwardly, so you can see what I'm doing. Now I am going to connect it to my bust point. All right, so but before I do that, because I want um before I do that, I'm going to carry those lines I just drew. I'll carry it down. Okay, I'll carry it down. I'll just carry it to the straight line. But if you're making what they call again, if you're making a madam blouse, we have a different way of drawing this line. Okay, so maybe I'll make a video on how to cut a madam blouse, but for this I'll just take the line straight. Okay, all right, take it straight to meet our hip line. So once I am done doing that, I'm going to connect my underbust to my bust point. So I came down with 1.5 inches. Someone will ask, is it for everybody? No, I have a bigger bust, so I'm looking for a big bust size. So I came down with 1.5 inches. Maybe you can come down with 1 inch or half inch, depending on the bust you're working width. So right now I'm going to connect the upper side. Now I'm going to take my armhole curve. I'll take my armhole curve and I will get the midpoint of my armhole. But before I do that, I'm going to take my shoulder slope. I'll be sloping my shoulder with 1 inch. But before that, I'm going to take my neckline. I'll take a neckline. Now you can start to take a neckline of your choice. All right. For mine, I took 3 inches. I'm going to alter this later. Okay, I wasn't really sure of the neckline I wanted, so I just took 3 inches, 3 inches, which is very tautod, but I'm going to alter this later. I just wanted to get my shoulder first. All right, so I'll be sloping my shoulder with 1 inch. Okay, you know how we do it. So once I slope with 1 inch, I'm going to calculate my armhole round. I'll get my armhole round, then I'll get the midpoint of my armhole. Okay, I'll get the midpoint of my armhole, and so I'm going to measure what I have. My armhole is 18 inches divided by 2. I have 9 inches. So I'm going to measure the midpoint of 9 inches, which is 9.5. So that's 9 inches. So we get where the midpoint of 9 inches, so which is 4.5. So that's my midpoint. I'm going to connect it from that under bust. All right. So from that bust point, remember I came down with 1.5, so I'm going to come up from there and connect it to the midpoint of my armhole. So once I do that, I'm going to take 1 inch, sorry, half inch on both side. I'll take half inch there, and again I'm going to extend my darts because I wouldn't want to be short of fabric. So you need to extend that dart and then draw a new armhole curve, draw a new armhole line. But before then, we'll take half inch on both sides because I don't want that place to look too bulky. So that's why I'm taking that, just to add some make that area look somehow tight. I don't want it looking very free. That's why I'm taking that 1 inch. So I'm going to extend my armhole curve. So I'll extend the armhole curve. I'll just use a freehand method. I'll use my hand. I'll extend it. And once I finish extending it, I'm going to take my measurements. So now the bust I'm working with is 47 divided by 4. You should have and we have 11.75. So I'll be putting my measurements there, and so I'll add 3 inches for my allowance, and then my underbust is 44 divided by 4. I have 11 inches, so I will be putting the measurements around there. Okay, so whatever I have on my underbust, I'm actually going to put the same thing on my waist. Okay, I'm going to put the same thing on my waist. My underbust and waist is actually almost the same thing, and actually want that area very tight. Okay, so I'll be adding bonings on that waist area. So that's the reason why I'll be taking the same thing I have for my underbust. So now after that, my hip, I'll be taking my hip measurement. My hip is 56 divided by 4. I have 14 inches. So I'll just connect the whole thing. I'll connect it to meet the armhole with a straight line. So I'm going to cut it off. So I'll just go ahead and draft my back side. Okay. What I usually do is this. I'll bring the front part and I'll fold a new fabric. I'll just add 2 inches to the front side like you normally do to your basic bodies. I usually don't add that to the back side. I just do a basic princess that to it. So please, like I said, if you don't really understand what I just did here, I have a video on the description box there. Just go watch it. All right, watch it. You understand how to draft out the back side. Okay, at this point I'm taking my neckline for the front. I decided to take 5 inches for my front neckline, and then the back neckline I will be using 3 inches. Okay, so whatever neckline of your choice you want, you can use. All right, so I took 5 inches deep and 3 inches wide. And then for the back, I took 3 inches deep, 3 inches wide. And so I drafted the back. I am going to continue with my trimmings and all the trimmings. And then we are going to start stitching. So this is the front part, as you can see. This is the front part, and then I'm going to also display the back part. First of all, cut out your zipper allowance area. So I'm going to cut it out, and then we are going to also display the back side. I'll trim off that little excess on the side, and then I will place it in a way that you will also see the back part and how it is. Okay, so once we are through with that, we are going to go ahead and start cutting and lining. So this is the back part, okay? So we're going to go ahead and cut out all the linings for both back and front. So this is the the front part. This is the lining for the front part. I went ahead to put my stay and also added my thick wording to the bust parts. And then this is the back part. I've also cut out my lining and also added gum stay, my stay on the what, on the neck part. So I'm going to start stitching. So right now you're going to pay very quick attention to what I'm doing here. So I'm going to make sure I set them very well. So I get the center part and one of the side parts. Now, if you're showing your princess that, please start from the bottom area, okay? Start from the bottom area. So we are going to start stitching. While you are stitching, when you get to any corner or bend area, you try to raise up your foot, your machine foot, and gain stamina, gain stability and continue. Princess, that is somehow very tricky. If you allow your machine, you have to control your machine at this time. You have to have control over your machine. If you don't control your machine at this time, you're going to mess up your work. So you're going to be a chairman of the machine now. All right, you control this. You don't just allow it to just sew by itself. Okay, you're going to control the machine. Take it gently. That's how to do your princess, that you take it gently, especially when you get to that bending area. Just watch what I'm going to do. At each junction, I lift off my foot, and I make sure it's not folded on the other side. You just keep checking. So you see, I'm going to keep taking it gently, all right? Gently, as if you are driving. Okay, as if you're driving a very big tipper. All right, at this point, I I took it gently. I keep taking it gently, making sure that the back side is also aligning together. Okay, so that's it. All right, so once we are through with this part, I'm going to also do the other part, and I'm going to give it a notch. Okay, so you should notch your work, notch it, all right, so that there won't be any folded parts on the front of it. All right, so just notch your work. Please make sure you don't cut between the threads. All right, the thread line, don't cut the thread line. Just take it easy. You notch from top to bottom. If you understand, Nigerians, you relate. All right, from top to bottom, just notch. All right, so once we are through with notching, I'm going to show you how it's looking. So I'll turn it up, and I also give it ironing. All right, though I didn't show that part where I ironed it, but I did ironed it with my ball, my ball. Okay, so this is it. So I'm going to also join the other parts, and then I'll show you how it's looking. So this is a princess that you can see how it's looking. At this point, I've ironed it, all right? So you can see how lovely princess that is looking. There are no rough edges anywhere. There are no I don't know, there are no problems anywhere. So this is it. It's looking very beautiful. I know you like it. So just if you're finding it difficult to make your princess that, I can relate, and I will also say you should try it one more time. You shouldn't expect to get it at the beginning, but just keep trying. You will get it. All right. So whenever you're working on your princess that, always make sure you have control of your machine. Don't allow the machine to control you. Okay. All right, don't allow the machine to control you. Control the machine. At every corner you get, lift up your foot and continue. You keep what navigating. You keep navigating as if you're driving until you get. So at this point, I'm going to join my linings. Okay. So that's the neck area. I'm going to notch that area also, and then I'm going to trim the armhole part. So I'm just trying to trim the armhole part. So you should trim that part very well. So once you're done with trimming it, you can now decide to what? To sew it. All right. So once I'm through with trimming, I am going to continue with joining my linings. So at this point, I added boning to that waist area. Reason because I wanted that place to look very snatching. Okay, so I added boning on to that waist part. It's optional. You can add, you can decide not to add. I decided to add it. All right, it's not a must. All right, so I added my boning to that area, and then once I was through with that, I'm going to start joining the back side. I did not show how I did the back side, but I want to start joining my zipper to the back side. All right, the back side is very easy to join. So I'm through with all the turn up for the back, and then I am through with joining the zipper, and so I'm trying to join the two shoulders together. All right, so once I'm through with joining the shoulders and adding my sleeve, I'm going to go to my table and measure my work and close it up. Okay, I'm actually making a two-sided peplon. I'll also show you how to do that. I'm going to draft a peplon and show you how to do that. Show you how to calculate and also join the peplon. So I am going to close up my work. All right, my bust is 47 divided by 223.5, and I'll take my waist and also my hip. So this is how it came out. It came out so beautifully, and the bust was just so standing very well, like I want it to what to be. You can see how it is. You see how beautiful a blouse is looking. Very, very beautiful. Okay, so now for the two-sided peplon, I'm going to start working on that. I'm going to start by folding my blouse into two to get the midpoint. So once I fold into two, I'm going to measure 5 inches from the middle, all right, and then measure also 5 inches from the zipper area. So I will make sure that the two sides are touching, both back and front are touching each other, so that the peplon will sit correctly. So I'm going to measure 5 inches from the center part, and then from the back part I also measure 5 inches, and then I'll come up with 7 inches. All right, so at there I have 5 inches, and then I'll write it down, then 5 inches. I'll draw my chalk there. Then from the center part I took 7 inches. I'm going to draw a straight line. I'll draw a line like a square first of all, and then I'll start adding my curve. So just draw a square. So I took 7 inches upward again, and then I'm just connect it like a square. I'll take this one down, and I'll also take the other part down. So once I do that, I'm going to add a curve. All right, I'm going to add a curve. You see how I'm going to add the curve. I'm going to add a curve by the side. All right, because I don't want it to look straight. So we're going to add curve by the side of the what of the two side of the what of your work. I'm actually not cutting. I'm not going to cut my work. A lot of people cut theirs. You can decide to cut your own. I'm not actually going to cut it, okay? So I'm going to sew my peplon on top of it. All right, so once you do that, once I add that curve, I'm going to start measuring um my peplon. I divided it into, I'm using two peplon for the two sides. So I folded my fabric into two places, and then I folded it into eight, giving me 16. So I'll be measuring whatever I have. When I finished making that curve, I measured what I have. I have about 27 inches. I divided it with 8, since my peplon is divided what into 8. So whatever I have, I added it there, and I took 8 inches for the length of my peplon, because I'll be folding the down part with half inch, and the upper part I'll be joining with half inch to the blouse area, so giving me 7 inches. So I'm going to put my stay on it, and I'm going to stitch my peplon. So this is the peplon. I'm through with putting the stay, and I am through with also what stitching it. So I'm going to divide it into two, and then iron very properly, and then we'll start what we'll place it on what the on our dress. Okay, so I hope you understand what I mean. All right, so this is the peplon. I am through with sewing, and I've cut into two. I'm not going to just place the peplon that way. No, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to add something like a curve on that part. I'll add a curve on that area, so that it will look somehow basque. Okay, you're going to add a curve on that area. Don't allow it to look straight. Add a curve on that area. So I'm going to add curve there, and then I will what I'll cut it as if you are cutting a flounce. All right, so add a curve on it, and then I'll cut it out, and then I am going to turn it up, because I wouldn't want it to show while I'm wearing it. So I'll cut it off, and then turn it up, and then I'll add it to what? To my blouse. I hope you understand. Of course, I know you get it. All right. So once I was done doing that, I took it to my machine and what? And covered those area, turned my work up, and then I am going to be joining it to what? The to the blouse this way. So I'm going to bring it this way, and then I will join it that way. You can see what I was doing there. So I'm going to join it, and I'll add some pleats to it. I wanted some pleats, and then so this is how it came out. So looking very lovely, beautiful. I actually loved it. Okay, so this is the back part. Okay, so you can see how it's looking. So this is the front part. Because of the boning, my waist area was very snatching, very tight and all that. So just try it out. You can see this princess dart line. See how relaxed and beautiful it's looking. So if you find this tutorial very helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you again in my next class. Bye.